What's up, Capricorn? I am here with a spirit message for you for the month of May 2020. And for those of you that don't know me or how I do my thing, usually in this type of a spirit message, I do a meditation focused on that sign. And I try to bring in anything relevant that is intended for the viewer. Now, obviously, can't cover everybody. But I believe that if you're meant to hear it, you'll find it, and it'll make sense with you, it'll fit with you. You won't have to force it, to stretch it to fit your circumstances. You'll know if this is for you. With that said, some of this might not make sense until you're a little bit down the road, but I think not in this message. I think this message is something that if this fits with you, you're already into. You've already got your foot in it. And so with that said, we're going to do the message, and then we're going to do some cards to recap and see what else comes out, and we'll go from there. So basically, the first thing I have to say is, what is going on with you? There is this really intense looking back on your past, reflecting. And to me, this is something that was probably deeply personal and painful, and it hurt a lot. And in the meditation, I kept hearing the song Amazing Grace. So, with that said, I think that a lot of this message is about you giving yourself the leeway to have not only setbacks, but to experience what you would call a failure. There really are no failures in life, there's only lessons. But to give yourself that grace, to give yourself that room to experience things that didn't turn out the way you wanted, or even things that happened to you that you had nothing to do with, things that were completely out of your control. And so if that's you, I really felt that there was this looking back and how it has changed you fundamentally into who you are now. And so I think the looking back right now is a very deep internal reflection of yourself, of looking maybe almost like a reflection in the mirror, but you probably don't really recognize that person much anymore. This is definitely a coming to moment, or a coming to time, much like the metaphor of the caterpillar that comes out a butterfly. And I think that's what's going on with many of you, Capricorn. And it just seemed very somber though. And I don't know why I got that somber feeling. And it might have been that song that kept coming to me, Amazing Grace, and maybe not being kind enough to yourself, gentle enough to yourself, and forgiving enough to yourself. So with that said, I really felt this very strongly inside me. And I also felt like this is something that maybe people have pointed out to you before, that you're being too hard on yourself, or you expect too much of yourself, or there's just things that you had no control over, and the accumulated time of beating yourself up over these things has really been almost an experience that you didn't have to have. You didn't have to add to that experience that you were already having, but you did. But it was for a reason. The reason is this idea of self-transformation. And I think for many of you, Capricorn, it was a very long, harsh, dark night of the soul. And out of that time in the cocoon is the emergence of the butterfly. And that's really the message I was getting in all of this. So, usually I get a lot more out of a meditation. There will be several different broken up messages that come, and it could be scattered, and some could be for some people, some could be for the other, but that's not the way this came to me. And for whatever reason, it is what it is, and that's okay how that came out. I think though, I think this is the part where You are taking your foot out of that last bit, and it is time for you to come out of that energy altogether. And with that comes a lot of wisdom, a lot of healing, and most importantly, I think this is the biggest part of this whole message that came through, is your ability to provoke healing in others, your ability to assist others in that process. And so it's not without a cause, it's not without a reason, it's not without a meaning. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the message I get. So we're going to shuffle some cards, and we're going to see. We might spend a little bit more time than usual on the cards in this than I normally would, only because the message was so short. And I'm going to pull some out, and we're going to talk about them. Okay, that one came out. I always take the jumpers. If they fall out, they're part of that reading. Oh, and there's one more, the Fool. Okay, the last one to pop out, last one to come out. I'm not going to take these in any specific order, but the first card I want to show you really speaks about what I was just saying, and it is the Three of Swords. This is the heartbreak of heartbreaks. It is the most intense of emotional pain. And so I was kind of talking about that experience, and maybe not letting yourself have the room, if it's grieving, if it's just hurting, if it's beating yourself up, thinking there's something else you could have done, whatever it is. I think there was a long time spent in this energy, okay? And I think the next card I want to show is the Two of Wands. This is a reflection of events. Maybe the feeling of not taking action or not doing enough, or maybe the feeling of I could have done something different. And so that's this time spent looking at that, and possibly looking at it in a way that was unrealistic. Like, there's something I could have done, there's something more I could have done, and a lot of times there just isn't. I know, like, back in 2005, I had a child that I had to take off life support, and I know I'm getting a little personal here, and it's sorry, but I beat myself up for years, thinking if I had said something sooner about this or done something sooner about that, the whole thing would have turned out different. And the truth is, it wouldn't have. Okay? And so spending all that time, you may have been really going over things and just hurting very deeply. And that amazing grace that exists, that you got to allow yourself to have, is going to complete that healing process. But out of this brings your ability to heal, okay? Your ability to help others heal. Your ability to help others go through some things that they might not be able to go through on their own. And I think there is a bigger purpose in this, Capricorn. We had the Eight of Pentacles, and to me, the way this is depicted, I'm glad I picked this deck, couldn't be any better. You see the pentacles changing like the phases of the moon. And I think this represents that reflection, looking in the mirror, watching yourself change over time, going through that transit of phases, and going from a crescent moon to a fraction, a sliver of yourself, all the way over into a fuller picture of yourself, a fuller understanding. And then we have the Two of Pentacles. And this, to me, if we can get a focus first, it's not so much about the ability to handle more than one thing at a time, the ability to juggle things to hold more than one thing going on at a time in your life and to multitask. To me, this Two of Pentacles represents that swinging back and forth, trying to get out of that hole, trying to get out of that place, going back to the dark place, trying to get to the light, going back to the dark, trying to get to the light. I always read cards intuitively first. I can never ever let myself just go straight to the Facebook meaning, or face value. I said Facebook, but whatever. The face value meaning. So to me, that represents that going back and forth, that inability to completely come from one place to go to the other. And I think the time for you to experience that is really now, and it's happening. The Fool jumped out. That was the last one, okay? That is the new beginning. And I think that's beautiful. So Capricorn, if you've been like through hell and high water, if you've been through the fire and you come out of it smelling like smoke, but you're not on fire, you survived, this is the new beginning for you. This is the start of that. And I think it's amazing. This is probably one of the most heartfelt messages that I got in a meditation in a while. Like really like felt it emotionally myself. And I think I really connected to it because it really speaks a lot of truth about coming from the darkness and stepping out into the light of day. So we're going to pull one of these and maybe one of these on this deck here, and we'll just see if we can cap this off, Capricorn, for you. Between Worlds. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? Having one foot in one world and one in the other. Not completely in one thing and not completely out of another. Kind of just one foot in the past anxiety, one foot in the fear of the future. But I think that is over with. This is getting out of that Two of Pentacles, that going back and forth and not being able to fully commit to moving forward. And this is talking about that. And it isn't interesting enough is that the number 3 to me speaks in this. 3. And I'm not going to get all religious on you because that's not my thing. But the number 3 does remind me of that idea of the Holy Trinity, that grace, that amazing grace. And so I think that that is an important point to see in this, that 3 is very significant to me. And I think it is significant to you as well. All right, so we're going to pull one of these. And let's see what we get. I'm never short of amazed in readings, just the way things come out, the way things flow. When you let it flow and when you let the messages come out, they just come out in their own way. That's just beautiful. And I think this is beautiful for you. I think this is about time. Let's see. I want to see if we get one to jump out. That's kind of my thing. Not always. So let's see what we get. I'm going to pick one here though if it doesn't. Yep, there we go. Look at that. Home. Finding your home. Finding your heart center. And I think that was what this is about. And I want to end it with that. I don't want to expound on the meaning of home for you because that's for you to decide. But it is about finding the heart center. So Capricorn, if this makes sense to you, if it fits with you, you'll know it. Let me know. Leave me a thumbs up for the effort in the video. Leave me a comment. I love hearing from people. I love the emails too. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me this month. And until then, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.